Welcome to The Explainer. We're going to dig into a really fascinating idea today from historian Dr. Donal Fowler. What if the Earth itself isn't just the stage for history, but it's actually the one writing the script?
So, let's kick things off with this huge question. What if mountains and rivers are the ones who really decide who rules the world? I mean, what if history isn't actually about great kings or brilliant generals, but about the very dirt and rock they're standing on?
Well, that's exactly what Dr. Fowler argues. For folks in the ancient Near East, topography wasn't just, pretty scenery. It was destiny. It was this active force that literally built empires and shaped exactly what people believed.
All right, so let's get into it. Our first stop, Mesopotamia. And Dr. Fowler has this amazing description for it. He calls it a natural empire factory.
So here's the central paradox of Mesopotamia. On one hand, you have this incredible gift, literally some of the most fertile topsoil on Earth. But then you have the problem. There's just not enough rain. We're talking 8 to 16 inches a year. That's not nearly enough to grow anything.
And that tension, that problem, well, it forced a solution that would change the course of human history: irrigation. People realized they had to band together, work on a massive scale, and build these canals to bring the river water to the farmland.
And this necessity, it kicked off this incredible chain reaction, a domino effect that literally builds civilization from the ground up. And it all begins with the land itself, right? The topography demands irrigation.
So to manage all these canals and ditches, people had to live together. They had to gather in one place. And boom, that's domino number 2, urbanization. Suddenly you have the world's first cities. But you can't just have thousands of people living together without some kind of organization, which meant you needed a whole new social structure. You needed someone in charge to organize everything. And there's domino number 3, centralization. Power starts to collect at the top.
And once you have that, well, it's a short hop to domino number 4, kingship. A single, powerful ruler. Think about that. This entire system, all the way up to kings, it didn't just appear out of nowhere. It grew straight out of the dirt. Dr. Fowler even points out that this idea of a king became so powerful, it ended up being the main metaphor for God in the Bible. It all comes back to the land.
And here's the final result of that whole process. As Dr. Fowler puts it, Mesopotamia is a physical matrix for the birth of empires. It was basically boxed in by deserts and mountains, almost like a womb, perfectly designed to just pump out these powerful, unified empires, one after another for thousands of years.
But there was a fatal flaw baked into the system, a ticking time bomb. The very same river water that made everything possible was also slowly killing the land. It was full of minerals, and over centuries of irrigation, all that salt built up in the soil. Eventually, the once fertile farmland just died, and the empires died with it.
Okay, so that's the empire factory. Now let's completely switch gears and look at another place, Israel, because its geography tells a totally different story, one that leads to a radically different destiny.
So in Mesopotamia, you had these nice, predictable rivers. In Israel, you had rain, and it was anything but predictable. Just look at this chart. It's wild. Within 100 miles, you go from 60 inches of rain a year, which is a lot, down to just 10. You're basically going from a forest to a desert in the span of a short car ride.
Imagine living on that knife's edge, what some call the rain line. If that line shifts just a little bit one year, you go from having plenty of food to starving. It creates a completely different mindset, right? Your survival doesn't depend on how good you are at building canals. It depends on something you can't control. It depends on God. And the land itself pushed for a totally different kind of farming. All those hills and mountains, they're not great for huge fields of grain, but they're perfect for growing grapes and olives. So instead of a society built on bread, you get one built on wine and olive oil. That's a different diet, a different economy, a whole different way of life.
And remember how the flat plains of Mesopotamia made it easy to unify? Well, Israel was the complete opposite. It's all rugged hills and deep valleys. It's hard to get around. It's hard to communicate. The geography itself was constantly pulling people apart, making political unity a never-ending struggle.
So let's put these two places side by side. When you do, you can really see just how much the land itself shaped everything. I mean, look at this. On one side, you have Mesopotamia, flat, predictable rivers, and a destiny to build empires.
On the other, you have Israel, mountainous, unpredictable rain, and a destiny of being this collection of separate tribes. It's just two completely different worlds, and the reason is literally the ground they were built on.
But wait, there's one more piece to this puzzle. Israel's story has another major twist, all thanks to its geography. And this explains why such a tiny piece of land has had such a huge impact on world history. See, Israel wasn't a womb for empires like Mesopotamia. It was a bridge, a land bridge to be exact. It was the only real pathway connecting Africa, Asia, and Europe. So if you were a great empire wanting to trade or to conquer, you had to go through Israel. Now, this meant it was constantly getting trampled by bigger, more powerful armies. But Dr. Fowler sees a deeper purpose here. He says God put his people here for a reason. What better place to be a witness to the whole world than at the world's most important crossroads? It was the perfect spot for its ideas to spread everywhere.
So that leaves us with one last big question to chew on. If geography held the keys to everything back then, what about today? Where are the strategic places now? What land bridges, what resource choke points, what environmental pressures are writing the history of our world right now?